The lights dimmed in the cavernous studio of The Late Show, and the crowd erupted into a roar as Tom Hanks strode onto the stage, his trademark warm smile cutting through the buzz like a beacon. Dressed in a sharp blazer that screamed understated Hollywood class, he waved to the audience, his presence commanding yet approachable, the kind of guy you'd trust to lead a nation or fix your car. The applause thundered as he shook hands with Steven Colbert, the late-night host flashing his signature grin, setting the stage for what everyone assumed would be another polished promotional chat. Tom eased into the guest chair, his posture relaxed but poised, ready to dive into the usual banter about his latest film-a-gritty drama about a teacher fighting for underprivileged kids. The first few minutes rolled by like clockwork. Colbert tossed out lighthearted jabs about Tom's early morning workouts, and Tom chuckled, leaning back with that easy confidence. "I'm up at 4 a.m. every day," he said, his voice steady and rich. "It's how I keep my edge, how I stay sharp in this crazy business." The crowd nodded along, eating up the glimpse into the disciplined life of an American icon. But then, a shift. Colbert's eyes glinted with mischief as he leaned forward, his grin widening. "Come on, Tom, 4 a.m.? That's not human. Are you milking cows or running a bakery out there?" The audience laughed, expecting Tom to play along with the joke. Instead, he gave a measured nod, his expression unwavering. "It's real, Steven, always has been. I believe in structure whether it's this business or any other. That's how you last." The room quieted, the laughter fading as Colbert's prodding took a sharper turn. He tilted his head, pulling an exaggerated face toward the crowd. "Nobody needs to be up that early unless they're churning butter. Don't you think that's a little over the top for a Hollywood legend?" The jab hung in the air, and Tom's smile tightened, though his tone remained calm. "What works for me might not work for everyone, but I'm not here for applause over my schedule. It's what keeps me focused, keeps me standing." The mood shifted palpably. Longtime viewers caught the flicker of tension in Colbert's face. He wasn't used to guests sidestepping his rhythm like this. Undeterred, he pressed on, steering the conversation toward Tom's roots. "Let's talk about that focus," Colbert said, his voice taking on a probing edge. "You've always talked about growing up in a working-class neighborhood. That new film of yours really leans into that, doesn't it?" Tom nodded, his eyes softening. "Yeah, it does. I come from a place where nothing was promised, Mount Vernon, New York. I don't forget that. I bring that with me to every role." The crowd murmured approvingly, but Colbert cut in, his tone shifting to something more pointed. "Sure, but in today's climate, don't you think there's something tricky about romanticizing the working-class life when your reality now is a multi-million-dollar estate? Doesn't that disconnect hit your audience, the ones still struggling?" The room hushed. This wasn't the charming back and forth they'd signed up for. Tom's face tightened, not with anger, but with a focused intensity. "I'm not sure I follow," he said, his voice lower now, firmer. "There's nothing political about honoring where you came from or respecting hard work." Colbert didn't back off. He leaned in, his grin fading into a challenge. "Yeah, but some might say it's convenient to lean on that narrative while living so far removed from it. When your fans include people still clocking 9 to 5s, doesn't that create a gap?" A camera panned to the audience, brows furrowed, smiles gone. Tom paused, letting the silence stretch, then spoke with deliberate clarity. "Steven, I'm here to talk about the work, about the film, not to be grilled about my income or told which parts of my story I'm allowed to share. I've never been ashamed of success, and I've never faked who I am." Off camera, a producer's frantic hand signals, flash-cutting motions, urgent whispers. But Colbert doubled down, shifting from host to inquisitor. "Don't you think celebrities have a responsibility, especially when promoting an image that doesn't match their reality anymore?" The tension solidified, thick enough to feel through the screen. The usual rhythm of jokes and applause vanished, replaced by an electric stillness. Tom stayed poised, but the tightness in his jaw betrayed the weight of the moment. "I believe celebrities have a responsibility to be truthful," he said, his gaze locking onto Colbert's. "And honestly, Steven, I'm starting to feel like I was invited here under false pretenses." His voice didn't rise, but the authority behind it was undeniable. "If you wanted a political sparring match, you should have invited a politician." The room was quiet enough to hear a pin drop. Tension had been simmering, and now it boiled over. Colbert opened his mouth to respond, but before a word escaped, the screen faded to commercial a few beats earlier than scheduled. Insiders later revealed the chaos backstage. Producers scrambling, executives debating. When the show returned, viewers were startled to see Colbert alone. offering no explanation for Tom's absence. He transitioned smoothly into the next segment, but the audience wasn't buying it. Within minutes, social media exploded tweets, TikToks, and threads demanding answers. Number epic clash stories trended as fans dissected the confrontation. Backstage, the real drama unfolded. As the cameras went dark, Colbert ripped off his mic and confronted Tom directly. "What do you think you're doing?" he snapped, his affable veneer gone. "This is my show. You don't come here and tell me how to run my interview." Tom remained seated for a beat, then stood slowly, his presence towering yet composed. "I came to talk about a film, not to be your political prop," he said, voice steady as steel. "Where I come from, we show guests respect." Staffers watched, stunned. A production assistant whispered, "I've never seen him this rattled." Colbert jabbed a finger toward Tom's chest. "You think growing up tough gives you some moral high ground? You've been living the Hollywood life for decades. You're just as out of touch." Tom's expression didn't waver, but his tone sharpened. "And you think hiding behind jokes gives you the right to blindside guests? I've been real my whole career. Can you say the same?" The network execs were called in, the show teetering on the edge. The senior producer approached Colbert, voice low. "We've got 2 more segments and another guest waiting. We need to de-escalate," Colbert snapped. "I'm not going back out there with him. Either he goes or I go." A tense silence fell. Tom let out a quiet breath, scanning the room. "You serious right now?" he asked, a hint of disbelief in his voice. "You're throwing me off because I wouldn't let you talk down to me?" Colbert turned, defiant. "This is my house. We follow my rules." The executive producer stepped in. "Tom, maybe it's best if we reschedule when things cool down." Tom looked between them, realization dawning. "So that's how it is," he said quietly. "He throws the tantrum and I get shown the door?" The exec stammered. "It's not personal," but Tom cut him off. "Everything about this is personal. With calm precision, Tom removed his microphone. "This was never about the film. He came for me from the start." Security approached, but Tom raised a hand. "No need. I know my way out." The silence was suffocating as he collected his things, his dignity intact. Before leaving, he locked eyes with Colbert. "You know the difference between us, Steven? I play characters when the cameras roll, but when they stop, I'm still me. Always have been. Can you say the same?" Colbert's face flushed, but he said nothing. Tom turned and walked out, head high, as the production team stood frozen. A young assistant approached with his personal items, and Tom nodded thanks. "For what it's worth," she whispered, "this isn't the first time." Tom gave a knowing nod. "Won't be the last either." The studio buzzed with unease as Colbert returned, his mask slipping back into place. The audience murmured, sensing the shift, but the show rolled on. Outside, paparazzi gathered, and Tom declined to comment, simply saying, "Watch the show. It speaks for itself." As his SUV pulled away, the night marked the beginning of a legend stand-up moment that would echo across epic clash stories as a testament to truth and resilience. The crowd's stunned silence turned to a rallying cry, setting the stage for Tom's triumphant return. The heavy studio door swung shut behind Tom Hanks as he stepped into the dimly lit backstage corridor, the muffled hum of the audience fading into a tense silence. His departure from the Late Show set had left the air crackling with unresolved energy, and now, the real confrontation was about to unfold. Steven Colbert, still fuming from the on-air clash, stormed out of his dressing room, his usual polished demeanor replaced by a scowl. "What the hell was that out there?" he barked, his voice echoing off the concrete walls. Tom turned slowly, his expression calm but his eyes sharp with resolve. "I came to talk about my film, Steven," he said, his voice steady, carrying the weight of a man who'd faced worse than a rattled host. "Not to be your punching bag." The backstage crew froze, their eyes darting between the 2 men. A production assistant clutched a clipboard, her breath shallow, while a camera operator lingered nearby, phone subtly recording. Colbert closed the distance, his finger jabbing the air. "This is my show. You don't get to walk in and dictate the narrative. I ask the tough questions. That's what people tune in for." Tom didn't flinch. He stood tall, his presence a quiet fortress. "Tough questions are fine," he replied, his tone measured but firm. "But ambushing me with a political trap? That's not journalism. That's a performance, and a cheap one at that." The words landed like a thunderclap, and Colbert's face reddened, his composure cracking. The tension escalated as network executives hurried in, their voices a frantic murmur. The senior producer, a wiry man with a perpetually stressed expression, stepped between them. "Gentlemen, we need to cool this down. We've got a show to finish." But Colbert wasn't backing off. "No way," he snapped, turning to the exec. "He's not coming back on. Either he leaves or I walk." The producer's eyes widened, glancing nervously at Tom. "Tom, maybe it's best if you step out for now. We can reschedule." Tom's gaze shifted to the exec, a flicker of disappointment crossing his face. "So he throws a fit, and I'm the one shown the door? That's the game here?" The exec stammered. "It's not personal, just logistics." But Tom cut him off with a raised hand. "Everything about this is personal." As security edged closer, Tom remained unruffled. He removed his microphone with deliberate grace, his movements a silent statement of dignity. "I don't need an escort," he said, his voice carrying across the room. "I know my way." But before he could turn, a young production assistant approached, her hands trembling as she handed him his personal items, a notebook, and a worn photo of his family. "For what it's worth," she whispered, her voice barely audible, "a lot of us back here agree with you. This isn't the first time he's pulled this." Tom gave her a gentle nod, a spark of gratitude in his eyes. "Thanks, kid. Won't be the last either." Outside the studio, the night air was thick with anticipation. A small crowd had gathered, drawn by the viral clips flooding social media under number Epic Clash stories. Fans held signs, "Tom Hanks, our hero," their cheers cutting through the hum of paparazzi cameras. Tom paused at the SUV door, turning to face the throng. "Watch the show," he said simply, his voice carrying over the noise. "It speaks for itself." As he climbed in, his phone buzzed Dwayne Johnson on the line. "Just saw the clips, man. You good?" Tom exhaled, staring out at the fading studio lights. "I'm good. Just reminded why I stick to the work." He wanted a headline, not a conversation. And back inside, the atmosphere was electric with unease. Colbert huddled with his writing team, his usual charm replaced by a tense scowl. "No mention of this," he ordered, pacing. "Push the musical guest up. Stretch the monologue if we have to." A junior producer hesitated. "Sir, the audience saw it. They're already talking online." Colbert's jaw tightened. "Then let them talk. We control the narrative here." But the control was slipping. Staff exchanged wary glances, whispers of, "This is gonna leak," rippling through the crew. In the green room, the next guest, a young actress promoting her debut film, watched the monitors, her nerves fraying. "Is everything okay?" she asked a passing staffer. "Just a schedule change," came the rehearsed reply. "Mr. Hanks had to leave unexpectedly." On stage, Colbert returned with a forced smile, the genial mask sliding back into place. "Welcome back to The Late Show," he said smoothly. "Unfortunately, Tom Hanks had to step away, but we've got a great show ahead." The audience murmured, their applause sparse. The energy was off, laughter came late, claps felt hollow. Backstage, the director leaned to the exec producer. "We're not addressing this?" "Boss's orders," came the curt response. "Move on." But the crowd wasn't so easily pacified. As the show dragged on, social media erupted, tweets dissecting the tension, TikToks replaying Tom's exit, and threads speculating on the backstage blow-up. Number Tom Hanks legend trended, with fans praising his poise. The leak came faster than expected. A staffer's discreet video of the backstage clash surfaced online, showing Colbert's outburst and Tom's unflappable response. The internet frenzy grew, with entertainment blogs picking up the story. Fans rallied outside the studio, their chants, "We stand with Tom," echoing into the night. Tom, now at home, monitored the response, his phone lighting up with messages from colleagues. He decided to strike back, not with anger, but with action. The next morning, he announced a live stream event, inviting fans to hear his side. The response was overwhelming. Millions signed up, turning the incident into a viral TV moment for Epic Clash stories. During the stream, Tom sat in a modest setting, his family photo visible behind him. "I didn't go on that show to fight," he began, his voice warm yet resolute. "I went to share my work, but when the truth was twisted, I had to stand my ground." He shared stories of his early struggles, tying them to his latest film's message. The chat exploded with support. "Tom, you're the real deal," and donations poured in for a charity he championed. Colbert's team scrambled to respond, issuing a vague apology, but it was drowned out by the tidal wave of public backing for Tom. The crowd's faith in him grew, setting the stage for his ultimate triumph, a victory born from authenticity and courage. The digital airwaves buzzed with anticipation as Tom Hanks prepared for his nationwide livestream, a bold move to reclaim his narrative after the explosive exit from The Late Show. Seated in a cozy study adorned with books and a framed photo of his family, he adjusted his glasses, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the chaos that had unfolded. Millions tuned in, their screens lighting up with hope, drawn by the hashtag #EpicClashStories that had become a rallying cry across America. The chat scrolled furiously, "We've got your back, Tom," as he leaned toward the camera, his voice steady and resonant. "Folks, I didn't ask for this fight, but when the truth is challenged, you don't back down. Tonight, we're talking about what really matters for stories, our values, and our future." The stream began with a powerful opening. Tom announced a new initiative, the Hanks Education Fund, aimed at supporting underprivileged schools across the country. Donations flooded in within minutes, a testament to his unshakable reputation as a man of the people. But the peace was short-lived. Steven Colbert, desperate to salvage his image, retaliated with a pre-taped segment on his show, accusing Tom of staging the walkout for publicity. "He's playing the victim," Colbert sneered, flanked by his writing team, turning a simple interview into a soap opera. The studio audience clapped on cue, but the response online was swift and brutal. Colbert failed trended as viewers called out the hypocrisy. The tension peaked when a leaked memo from Late Show producers surfaced, revealing Colbert's team had planned to provoke a reaction from Tom to boost ratings. A former staffer, risking her job, posted the document on Twitter, captioning it, "The truth hurts." The revelation sent shockwaves, with entertainment blogs like Variety and TMZ picking up the story. Fans gathered outside CBS studios, their chants, "Justice for Tom," echoing through the streets. Tom, watching from his stream, paused, his expression softening. "This isn't about me winning a fight," he said, addressing the camera. "It's about us standing together against manipulation." The chat erupted, "Tom, you're our hero." And a grassroots movement began, with viewers organizing local fundraisers for the education initiative. Colbert's team scrambled to counter the narrative. During a live interview on a rival network, he attempted a half-hearted apology. "If Tom felt ambushed, I regret that. It was never my intent." But the damage was done. A panel of guests, including a respected film critic, dismantled his defense, pointing to the memo as proof of bad faith. "Tom Hanks represents integrity," the critic said. Colbert crossed a line. The audience at home nodded, their trust in the late-night host eroding. Meanwhile, Tom's stream gained momentum, featuring surprise appearances from peers like Meryl Streep and Denzel Washington, who praised his courage. "Tom's the real deal," Denzel said, his voice gravelly with conviction. "He fights for what's right." The crowd online cheered, donations surpassing $1 million. The climax arrived when Tom opened the floor to viewer questions. A young teacher from Ohio, tears in her eyes, asked, "How do we keep fighting when the system's against us?" Tom leaned in, his response a masterclass in empathy. "You start small, teach one kid, inspire one family. That's how change happens. I've seen it, lived it." The words struck a chord, and the chat overflowed with stories of resilience. A tech mogul, moved by the moment, pledged $500,000 to the fund, sparking a wave of corporate support. Colbert, watching from his green room, grew pale as his ratings dipped, the night's fallout costing him sponsors. The turning point came when Tom addressed the leaked memo directly. "I've never needed a script to be me," he said, his gaze piercing through the screen. "But it seems some do. This isn't about one show, it's about honesty in our media." The stream hit 20 million viewers, a record for independent broadcasts. Outside, crowds gathered in cities like New York and Los Angeles, holding vigils with signs, "Tom Hanks, voice of the people." Their voices a thunderous roar. Colbert's attempt to pivot with a comedic bit flopped, met with silence from his audience, who now saw through the facade. In a final twist, a major network executive, pressured by public outcry, issued a statement distancing The Late Show from the incident, hinting at an internal review. Tom seized the moment, announcing a nationwide tour to promote the education fund, inviting fans to join the cause. The stream ended with Tom standing, arms raised, as virtual confetti fell across screens. "Thank you," he said, his voice breaking with emotion. "Together, we've shown the power of truth." The internet exploded. Number Tom Hanks' triumph trended worldwide, with fans uploading clips of the event as viral TV moments. Colbert, isolated, faced a quiet studio, his once vibrant show now a shadow of its former self. Days later, Tom headlined a sold-out event in Washington, D.C., where thousands gathered to honor his stand. Speakers lauded his leadership, and a local school choir performed, their voices a tribute to his legacy. As confetti rained down, the crowd chanted his name, Tom, Tom, their admiration a resounding victory. The Epic Clash Stories channel captured it all, cementing Tom Hanks as a national hero, his triumph a beacon of hope in a media landscape hungry for authenticity. The night ended with Tom waving to the sea of faces, his smile a promise of more battles won through courage and heart.